Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be xhairymuppetx, and we are going to be casting a 1v1 Masters level game right here. Now, down the bottom right side, we do have our purple Zerg player. His name is blanked out, but his actual name is Scarlett. And I have not cast a game of him so far, but he should be a pretty awesome gamer, considering where this game is coming from. It is actually coming from the RSL series of group matches, and the RSL of course stands for the Russian Starcraft 2 League, and I haven't seen any games from them yet. This is going to be the first one, but I'm sure they are quite awesome because of course Russian players, very awesome players. Up the top left side is a player that we haven't seen before. It is going to be Polt. Now, we saw him play back in the Zotac April Cup that I cast, and yeah, he managed to get all the way to the grand final against Snoot, and he did a very good job there. And yeah, so we're going to see him in this game as well. It's going to be our red Terran player, and it's going to be awesome to see how these guys match up against each other. Now, not much going on so far. I've got a barracks coming down, I've got a refinery coming straight off it. The Zerg player is probably going for a hatch first and then into a spawning pool. Yeah, so really not much going on. Speaking about other things, as I'm casting this, I'm uploading the rest of the EMS Spring 2013 Cup. So I think I'm still uploading the second semi-final, and I've still got the grand final to go, but they've all been cast, and I've actually downloaded my next tournament, which is the DreamHack Summer tournament, I believe it was. Let me just have a quick look over here. I've got such a horrible memory. Yeah, the DreamHack Summer 2013 replays. So it does have a grand final, semi-finals and all that sort of stuff in there. So it does seem like a full tournament, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to cast that. There's actually quite a comprehensive list of replays in there, which I'm very happy about. There was a DreamHack Stockholm tournament, but the replays for that, half of them were missing, and yeah, it wasn't that good. But these they all seem to be there, and they all seem really awesome. So I'm thinking I'm definitely going to cast the semi-finals and the finals. I'm thinking I might cast the quarterfinals as well, because I mean, you never know when you got to look out there and it's like, hey, there's no tournament out there at all, and yeah. I mean, I'll always have enough 1v1 random games like this one to cast, but I love casting the tournaments, so I might as well cast a lot of it. And if it does turn out that the tournaments from now on just keep coming, then yeah, maybe I won't cast the quarterfinals for all of them just because I won't have enough time. But for the next one, yeah, definitely going to cast the quarterfinals, I think. And yeah, should be pretty awesome. So we've got some minor Reaper harass over here. Ling's able to push them off quite easily. A couple more Lings coming out here, coming out for a scout. They might wipe out this SCV though, which would be a bit of a pain in the ass. But of course they got two Marines down here, which can reinforce this guy quite easily. And here we go, the Ling's going to run off against the Marines, but they did get an SCV down, so that was a little bit of a pain. They might be trying to do a run around the Marines to try and flank and get in there and do a proper scout. And no, he's obviously not paying attention. They're just going to run straight into the Marine and they are going to die. So it was a fair opportunity to get around them, to go in there. There wasn't much being built, but this one Reaper is going to run away. And Scarlett does have an Overlord watching over him. I don't know if that Overlord's there for that express purpose or if it's just nice positioning, but nevertheless, he does know what the Reaper's about to do. And yeah, if Scarlett had gotten the Lings up here, which he did not, he just saw the barracks, but if he had, he would have seen the barracks building the reactor and the factory being built up, and he would have known that some fast Hellions were coming out, but he did not see that, so he's a bit in the dark at the moment. He's got a lot of Lings coming out. He's got Ling speed. He's got Queens, so he's got 3 Queens, so he should be able to hold it off a little bit, but if we get up to like 6 or so Hellions coming out, then yeah, he might be in a little bit of trouble. And there we go, the 2 Hellions coming out there. They are going to be able to kite those Lings quite easily once they're off creep. Here we go, a couple more Hellions coming out. He might... No, he's not getting 5th and 6th ones, but he does need to group these guys up, because these guys are going forward. The rally point must be down here somewhere. There we go, and a nice fast third base going down from the Zerg player. And yeah, the Hellions can't really do much to this to take it out, but he's going to see if he can get through and get some workers down. He's going to lose Hellions though, because Queens... There he goes, he's going to attack this. Obviously, I don't think he's really intending to kill it. I think he's just trying to bait the Lings to come out and start attacking them so he can roast some of them. And if he manages to roast a lot of Lings, it's going to be that much easier for him to run in there and just start taking workers out. There we go. I think there's 2 more Hellions coming out. So I mean, with 6 Hellions, you really got to do something with it. You can't just build 6 Hellions and then not use them. That's quite a lot of Hellions. He definitely should be thinking about making something happen. And he's actually got enough to start destroying Queens, and he's trying to bring the Lings out to support the Queens, but he does not want to send the Lings out there by themselves. And these Hellions, man, they've stuck on there, and they actually might be able to kill this hatchery. So the Zerg player is not going to cancel it, I don't think. And if he doesn't cancel it, he's got to save it. There he goes. It goes up, so he's got no choice. He's got to run out there, push these guys away. If he loses this hatchery, that's 300 down the drain, and that is not something that he wants to consider. But with the Lings, he's just madly trying to get the creep up around here. Once he's got the creep there, he can do a lot better job at defending. You can see Lings coming out. They're trying to do a flank, and they managed to push the Hellions away. Lings on both sides and a couple of Queens up the center. And it was just in time too, because this thing was getting very, very low, but he's managed to save it. However, these guys running back, and the Terran player could go in and finish this off. In fact, I think this would be an excellent idea with the Hellions. He's going to run back down. He's got 2 Queens up there, but the 2 Queens I don't think is going to be enough. He's got the hatchery down in the death margin right there. He does a transfuse on it, but I think the Hellions could just go in there and really start wiping it out. There's no roaches on the field so far. The Zerg player, man, he's just going for a lot of economy at the moment, and not really much army units, but there they are, the roaches, so he's already been building those. The roaches coming out, they're going to be able to do what they need to do, and this transfuse really saved this hatchery, because I think otherwise it would have gone down. But there we go, Widowmine coming down. He's going to hit this guy. Does he have a lair? I am expecting. Oh, there, here it is. It's over in the expansion. So there we go. He's got that, and this Widowmine will go down, but he will get at least another shot off. He's parking the Queen right next to it, so if Polt isn't paying attention, there was splash damage from this Widowmine's own shot is going to destroy it. But yeah, we'll have to see if Polt has his shit together as far as this Widowmine is concerned. But it becomes irrelevant because the Overseer manages to get there just as the Widowmine gets ready to send off. So not really much. This I believe this is the RSL logo, so they've actually got some custom maps going on here. And why not? If you can make custom maps, why not? Medevac coming over. Just a little bit of a scare tactic. I think there's no actual units in there. Bunch more Hellions. I think these are the same ones that he saved before. Yeah, look at the kills on those guys. But he's really got to be worried here because these Lings going around here could do quite a bit of damage. He's got a nice wall there. He's got a couple of Widow Mines. So the Lings aren't going to be able to push in too much. But once he gets the roaches and he starts breaching the supply depot wall, then it could be very scary. All it's going to take is the bunker going down, and yeah, these guys are going to be in a lot of trouble. That's a very large amount of roaches. He doesn't really have the Marine Marauder force to deal with them, but the Widow Mines getting a lot of hits off on the roaches, but we see some more roach reinforcements coming down already. He's going to have to rely on Widow Mine forces. He's getting the workers out there, and the workers might be able to send them off, but he's not actually hitting the workers, but he's going to start hitting the workers now. And Polt is in a little bit of trouble here. He's got a very healthy medevac force though, so he's going to be keeping these guys alive far longer than they normally would be. And I think he might have enough to send these guys away with the medevacs to heal them up. He's going to drop him, he's going to get him out of there. He needs to lift off this orbital command, but he does have time. And they're going to jump back here. He's got to get one tank out there, and this tank is pretty much going to just own these roach forces from now on. He's going to hit here, the siege tank hit, and he's not going to move in there at all because he does not want to send his roaches in range of a siege tank. And that is going to be it. We are going to be moving in to the mid game from now on, and we're going to see what these 2 great players can pull out. His Viking gets a little bit crazy in there. Gets taken out, but he does take out one Overseer. May have been worth it. I'm not sure what the exact cost of these units are, but right now the Terran player, he's a full base behind. If you look at workers, he's 25 workers behind, so that's bad. The Zerg going in, he really wants to take out this third base. The Terran player going in here, but he hasn't got the forces he needs. And the siege tanks, siege tank is just defensive up there, so he really needs to pull out a siege tank in his third base. But he's going to go for an attack here. This attack, much better than the other one. He didn't take any workers, but he got the hatchery, so great victory there while the roaches are out of position. And, yeah. And he gets these guys on the dropship, flies them off. I'm really not quite sure why the roaches didn't push in here. They had the numbers. The Terran player army was completely out of position. He should have moved in there. Why? I suppose he just figured the orbital command could just lift off. So that's probably why he didn't bother, because he's like, he's going to lift it off. There's no real point. He might go for something here, but he really needs to start thinking about air units. He's got a Spire, he's got some Infestors going down. So he should have something to do with the Medivacs. Infestors not all that good at dealing with Medivacs. I mean, you can fungal them, but that just stops them for the Hydras to take them out. And if you don't even have Hydras, then what's the point? But it looks like he's going to get I assume Corruptors, because Corruptors are very good at taking out Medivacs. Corruptors, I think, do bonus damage to armoured, and Medivacs are definitely armoured units. Meanwhile, the Terran player just going for triple M all the way. He got this one tank out to knock the roaches away, but he's not really going for any more tanks at the moment. He's going for Widow Mines off the factories, but that's about it. And yeah, this is an excellent attack here. Just getting a nice fungal down. Manages to get the second fungal down on these guys to wipe him out. So he got about 4 workers there, and it pretty much just cost him energy. So great job there. Really using this this close positioning very well. And I mean, I'd like to see the Terran player knock down a sensor tower at some point around the middle of the base, because that would really help him when the Zerg pushes down the middle. But the Terran player instead, he's going to shoot over there. There's a few forces here, but not really that much. And if he does a nice attack here, he should be alright. He's got a lot of Marauders, lot of Widow Mines. So he does have the roaches covered, I think. But the question is, how good are the fungal growths going to be? And he's got a beautiful split here. This is one of the best splits I've ever seen. But these guys running around, they were trying to get the workers, I think, but they're going to get cornholed by the roaches in that corner. This series is still fine, but he really needs to pull the roach forces into the Widow Mines. And the roaches are not pushing into the Widow Mines. So there we go. The Terran player not doing as much damage as he might have. He decides to go for the creep tubers instead, which is still a good option, but he hasn't got these ones up there, so that creep spread can continue up the north side of the base. And the Terran player, man, he's catching up to workers, and he's managed to kill a couple of Zerg workers, so he's not extremely far behind anymore. But here we go, man, the Zerg player going for Broodlords. He's going to have to get some Corruptors as well to support them. Broodlords, actually, I don't know how much I like this play, because he really needs something to take out the Medivacs. Broodlords are going to be awesome, but the Terran's already set up to build craploads of Medivacs. I mean, we can almost be certain. Yeah, there we go. There's a starport with a reactor on it. So, building Vikings, massive amount of Vikings, is going to be no problems at all for the Terran player. It'll just be Vikings here, Vikings there, Vikings left, right, and center. And there we go. Vikings coming out straight away. And he needs something to counter the Vikings. What he really needs is, I don't know, Hydras or something like that. I mean, he's starting to build up the tank numbers right now. He's really starting to say, alright, there's a lot of roaches. My Marine Marauder force isn't dealing with the roaches. I need some siege tanks. And one just got sniped there, so that was not good for him. I don't know, is this like a 4th base or something? Here we go, the Infestors coming in. They were looking maybe to do some fungals. Didn't quite work. But the Broodlords pushing in there, they're not quite at the point where they've got a massive amount of Vikings going against them, so they've got a window for doing damage here, and the Terran player has got to be on the back foot until the Vikings start getting out and start getting some stuff done. And this base is going to take quite a lot of hits, quite a lot of workers are going to go down. The Vikings finally coming out, but they're having to face off against the Corruptors over here. The Marines trying to take out the Corruptors so the Vikings can get the Broodlords, but there's only one Viking left, and it's going to take him 10 years to kill all those Broodlords. And all it'll take is one fungal to go down on this guy, and he will go down. But there we go, the base has been taken out. I don't think he saved that many workers, only about 6 or 7 workers there. So Polt taking a huge hit. Meanwhile, we've got a bunch of drops over there. They took out this base again, and they managed to get most of their forces away. But I think they did actually lose half the forces. This one Marine tried to get in the medevac, but there wasn't room, so he just had to run for it by himself. And here's a Lone Ranger right now, just like this Marauder, taking out this base. This guy just hit the jackpot, dropping off this guy, but it looked like the medevac went down. I can't think of how that medevac went down. Corruptors must have got it. But yeah, Zerg player doing a very nice job. The Viking, building the Vikings, I thought that would be nice and easy, but the Zerg player getting out a bunch of Corruptors as well. And the Corruptors countered the Vikings quite nicely, so the Broodlords basically just left to their own devices to hit stuff. And the Terran player, man, he's having a very hard time just getting a crap load of Vikings out there to overwhelm the Broodlord numbers. So he may have to concentrate on Marines to take out the Corruptors, and we'll see exactly how that goes. You can see him directly attacking the tanks. He wants a bit of splash damage on those tanks from the other tanks to take him out. He's very worried about the tanks with this Roach army. But the Vikings being pushed away by all those Corruptors. The Marines going to run in. They're going to do the damage they need to do. The tank's going to hit out, but the tanks are not quite far away. The Zerg gets pushed very, very hard in there. He's really going to be down to the Marines in this battle, but there's some fungal growth going down on him. He hasn't done an excellent split this time. It was basically just in a line, and that was not that good. But it looks like the Marines took out the Corruptor numbers they needed to. The Vikings, there's quite a bit of Vikings left over there, and all the Broodlords went down. So that was a bit of a setback for the Zerg's air offensive, and yeah, it's just left over with Marines. But Marines are going to be excellent. They're going to come out here, they're going to wipe this base out, and yeah, the Zerg player struggling to keep his base numbers up, because the Terran player is doing a very good job. And meanwhile, the Terran player landing down this third here, I'd like to see him get a fourth fairly soon, but of course with the pressure on his third, it's a bit hard for him to get a fourth. Meanwhile, the Zerg going over here, constantly moving out to get to these good places. This Marine, the Marauder obviously got tired, so he went back to take a break, and a Marine just covered his job over there. Terran player looks like he may go for a move here. He's definitely going to send a couple more units down there to take out that hatchery, because sooner or later the Zerg's going to realise, oh, he's attacking my hatchery, I better do something about it. Or you build a couple of roaches off this hatchery or something. But for now, he's not concentrating on that hatchery. And the Terran man, he's just got Marines all over the place. The Marine is going to see this base, so that's going to be good for him. The Terran player knows there's another target. I would not be surprised to see a medevac going down there sometime soon. And maybe that's what the Zerg player is worried about, because he has sent a fair amount of Corruptors down here, and they're obviously there to divert the medevacs. But here comes the medevac. He's doing a bit of a scan killing of creep tumors over there, so that's going to be fine. Bunch of roaches coming over here, but the Terran player is out there. He's sort of stopped his tank production, but he does have a very, very large amount of Vikings. Not many upgrades at the moment, but these guys, they got 3-3. The roaches almost have 3-3. They're still waiting for armor, but he's not building it at the moment. I guess he's got better things. And there we go. We did a very nice split up. But the roaches coming in here, and they're going to get clumped up together if they all want to start hitting the roaches at the same time. Nice fungals going down, and it looks like the Terran player is in a bit of trouble right now. He's got the siege tank back here, and it may be enough to save this fourth. The Vikings do a very good job in mopping up the Corruptor numbers, and these guys just managed to survive with the aid of that siege tank, which unfortunately went down. And here we go on the opposite side. He's got the vision. He's going to be sniping some workers, but some roaches on the high ground. Is he going to be? Is the Zerg player going to be able to do something about this? I really don't know. The Zerg player, he doesn't have the forces he needs, and this is a bad spot to try and run roaches in, because it's impossible to get a flank even when he's on the high ground. The high ground doesn't matter when you got medevacs, but he has just moved out a crap load of roaches out here, and that is going to be enough for now to push him away. But he's got a bunch of Marines down the bottom side, and he's going to put down a spine crawler, and I think the spine crawler should have the range, and once it starts hitting these guys, the Terran player will have to run, because there's nothing he can do against that spine crawler at the moment. He doesn't have banshees or battle cruisers or anything like that. Or maybe he could put up a siege tank and take that out, but that's quite slow. And a nice fungal growth on all these Vikings, man. Polt not paying attention to his Vikings there, and he did lose a lot of health off them, but he should be able to repair that up, and I guess just keep on keeping on. And here we go, there's the 4th base down from the Terran player. I am extremely surprised that it is an orbital. I would have expected a planetary at this point, because he knows this is going to be attacked, but I guess he's yeah, he's got to stop building that worker and start lifting this guy off, man, because this guy is in trouble. But a flank on the Roach forces is going to do very, very well. The Vikings landing down, and I think these Roach forces should be cleaned up, but you can see the Terran force really got absolutely mauled there by the Roach forces. So Roach is continuing to do a good job, even in the mid to late game. And yeah, he's Polt's going to pay a bit more attention there, because that base is going down. And Scarlett, straight back on the attack. He's going to build up some forces. He really wants to take this base down. He knows it's already at low health. They can't have fully repaired it by now. So he's going to do another push in, but one Viking up there is going to see it coming in. It's going to give the Terran enough time to move some reinforcements in here, and he might have a chance to save this base. You can see a very nice split here, though this split isn't very good. And that's like a bullseye for the Zerg player to land a fungal growth down. There's like half of his marine forces just in that one ball. So a little bit of a mistake there, and that mistake may cost him the command center right there, because I don't think he's got enough right now. He's got some additional forces moving out, but I think it's going to be too late. Unfortunately for the Zerg player, you cannot fungal growth a command center in the air, so he's really got nowhere to take that down. He really hasn't been building corruptors lately, and he really does need them, because the medevac numbers, the Vikings, all that sort of stuff. The Vikings are a little bit useless now because there's no corruptors or broodlords to take out, but yeah, still the medevacs, I mean, you got to be able to take those down, because if you let the medevac numbers get out of control, and of course defending drops, obviously not going to be that good. This guy, Polt needs to wake up a little bit, but yeah, not paying attention at all there. So it's a couple of times now he hasn't been paying attention. He's lost some units because of it. But here we go, the Zerg player, man. I think he's in the lead economically, 52 versus 31. The pressure on this base and on the 3rd, really been doing a good job. And yeah, he's even got some mining on this base, which I thought the Terran player would have killed by now, but obviously the Zerg finally built some roaches and took it out. He's really got to push in here, and if he takes out this base, then I think the Terran player may be in a hell of a lot of trouble. He's finally going to take this base out, and he managed to take this base out, which is a very good job. I guess that's what that medevac was for, but the Zerg player's got still 2 fully mining bases, whereas the Terran only really has 1. This base does not count as a fully mining base, I would not say, just because of the pressure being put on it. And you can see here, and there's not actually that much defense. I thought maybe these were all spine crawlers or something. The Zerg player is very persistent, but a couple of corruptors here would really do a good job, and we can see some tanks coming down here, so he really wants to nail down this Zerg force. But the Zerg is getting in a nice position away from the siege tanks, but still able to hit the command center, and there's really not much the command center can do right now. It can lift up, but at this point, man, there he goes. He's going to lift up, and he's going to be safe for now, but it's burning down, and some infested Terrans coming in, and that should be enough to wipe it out, although it is getting repaired up quite nicely. I think that's going to survive, but a lot of workers died there. Meanwhile, another attack back here. Should be fine. There's no Zerg reinforcements within sight, but of course he's building a couple there. But these guys are all going to get wiped out. He needs more reinforcements. Here come a bunch of drones. That's really not going to help, but I think it's going to be enough. And a beautiful fungal there by the Zerg player hitting a moving target, and the corruptors come out. He's dropping all the units down because he knows that medevac is going to die. And yeah, really not doing the damage he needs to do. So the Terran player really on the back foot here. The Zerg player is getting up the bases. He's doing the economy, and the Terran player, his economy is not all that good at the moment. He lost a bunch of harvesters there. He killed quite a few Zerg harvesters, but he is still very badly behind. I mean, if you've got 70 and your opponent's got 50, you're not too far in behind, but you're not too far in front. But 40 versus 20, that's actually quite a big difference. That's double the amount of workers, and yeah, that really does make a difference. And this base, I mean, I suppose if it was a planetary, it may have died by now. But I still feel like this should be a planetary right there, just because it's constantly being attacked, and a planetary would just do so much DPS versus those roaches. It would really be worth it. And here we go, the Broodlord's coming out again, along with one Corruptor for escort duties. The Terran player's got 2 Vikings. He doesn't really have... He's got 5 Vikings, but the other ones are all over the place. And here we go, nice attack here from the Terran player, moving in a small force. He takes out this hatchery, he manages to get away. Beautiful, perfect attack. Now he needs to do one over the other side. Maybe this base, but this base is already mined out, so he just needs to lock down this base, and this base. And if he keeps them locked down, then he is going to be back in the game. So you see a bunch of Vikings coming out, they're going to knock down the Broodlords. And this attack, the Broodlords not doing what they needed to do here. There's going to be, he's got a few Corruptor numbers up there though. There's built a few more Corruptors, so he should be fine. He's got a very large Marine Mortar force, but they're sort of spread out all over the place. They do not want to get in close. He's got to get his Vikings in close, but then of course the fungal growth comes down, and the Corruptors just finish him off once the fungal growth hits them. And yeah, that base is going to get completely owned. Not really much he can do now. He's going to have to fall back, because yeah, the combination of Broodlords, Corruptors, and these Infestors getting the fungal growth down, really not much he can stand up to right now. And the Terran player is in an extreme amount of trouble here. I mean, I don't know, but is yeah. If Goliath was still in the game, I'd say he should get Goliath. Thors maybe. Thors are a pretty heavy investment though. I mean, they would do an exceptional job here, especially with their whatchamacallit, their side ability where they do single target damage. That would be awesome here. But he's definitely not teched out for a mech play. I mean, he's getting the Vikings. What are the Viking upgrades? The Vikings don't have much upgrades, so maybe Thors with some Marine Marauders as well would be a fairly good option. But yeah, I don't know. He might just have to do some crazy stims to get in there and take out the Broodlords. But with so many Infestors around the base, it's yeah, another drop down here. I think he took this base out again, if indeed it was actually created again. And these medevacs just running around laughing, because the roaches can't attack medevacs. But he's going to maybe drop down here, but a bunch of Corruptors coming over, so that's not going to be very long-lived. There's Oak player just taking pot shots with Infestors, moving a couple of roaches to snipe in some tanks. It's not working too well. He's got a decent, I think, like 3 tanks there. He really wants the Broodlords to take out the tanks, but he's got to be worried about Marines running out there, stimming out to take out the Broodlords, to snipe him out. He's only got 2 Broodlords left. I think the others may have got sniped by the Marine pressure. So it's a back and forward. So he sends out Broodlords, the Terran player sends out Vikings, and Zerg player sends out Corruptors with the Broodlords. Then this guy sends out Marines. This guy sends out Infestors to fungal growth the Marines. This guy sends back the Marines back. And then this guy sends out the Broodlords again. So it's crazy play. But I think he's finally going to snipe it. We're going to snipe in some more Broodlords. But now the Broodlords are going down. The Terran player's thinking about doing something, but these guys are a bit all over the place. He forces that Broodlord to cancel though, and now the Broodlords are out. He can start pushing the siege tanks in a little bit more, because without the Broodlord pressure, the tanks are going to be that much more effective, and the roaches are going to start to go down. But here we go, bunch of Corruptors. They're not really that helpful anymore, and there's no Vikings to speak of. There's just 1 Viking left over. The Marines coming around, they're doing some good damage. The Roaches trying to do a flank from the right hand side. He's still got a decent amount of tanks. The 2 tanks there are doing a great job when the Roaches try and flank. And 1 tank left over. He has built up another Broodlord though, and the Broodlord is going to be sucking down these Marine numbers, and the fungal growth really finishing him off. He's going to wipe out that Broodlord, but there was 3 more Broodlords created, and eventually, yeah, the Terran player just had to back off. The Broodlord numbers just getting very scary. And I think that Polt has lost the game at this point. I'm going to say he's got no money left. He has not been able to fortify this base. He's going to try and get this base, but there's a roach already over there, sawing the SCVs come down. And the Broodlord Corruptor numbers, along with the Infestor and Roach support, is just going to be too much. He doesn't have an army left. He's just got these forces. He's going to try and do a side swipe, but 1 fungal here, and this is all going to be over. And the Broodlord's coming in. And there's pretty much no chance that Polt is going to survive this. And there we go. He gives the GG, and he leaves the game. And congratulations to Scarlett for a beautiful beautiful, beautiful attack. A beautiful game plan. Broodlords, they're hard to pull off simply because they're so countered so easily by Vikings, but he made it work with the Corruptors, and he got some nice fungals off on the Vikings as well. The Terran player tried to get the Marines out to snipe out the Broodlords, to stim and run in a small group, and it worked, sort of, but with fungal growth on the field, man, Marines are just not the unit that you really want to have relying on to do all the stuff. And yeah, so it didn't work out for him in the end. I like how he continued the pressure with the Broodlords. He was doing a massive amount of roach work all over the place, but as soon as the Terrans started getting tanks, it started to be a bit like, oh, the roaches are going to get killed by the tanks eventually. The tanks definitely counter the roaches very nicely, so the roaches were getting killed time and again. They still continued to do nice damage, but they were getting countered quite badly by the tanks, even though the Terran player didn't build that many tanks. So yeah, he went for Broodlords, and he got the Corruptors as well to support the Broodlords. And yeah, the Terran player, man, had a lot of trouble. The only thing I can think of is that he could have gone Thors, but I think at the point where he really needed Thors, he was behind economically to such a degree that it was basically almost certain. I mean, this beautiful battle over here, the in and out, the micro was exceptionally good for both players, constantly going in and out with different units. You counter, and then you counter this one, and then you send another one to counter that one, and blah blah blah. It was absolutely awesome. But at that point, Polt had already lost the game simply because his economy had been damaged so badly, and the Zerg player was still on top of his economy. You can see he's mining at this base. He's starting to mine at this base, so he did lose quite a bit, but 32-4, man. I think most of those workers died running over here, though, so that was pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, economy killed him, and that is that. So excellent game so far. And yeah, all I can say is Thors to counter those guys would have been my pick, because Vikings, man, the Corruptors countered them so nicely, but Thors. Yeah, Thor's tanks and then Triple M to sort of guard the front and take the fungus and all that. I'm guessing that would have worked, but I really can't be 100% sure until I see it in action. But anyway, we are going to finish off this game. Thank you very much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to pull some more awesome games out of whatchamacallit, out of random replay zips and all that sort of stuff, and we're going to be casting more of them, and I'm definitely going to get stuck into the DreamHack Summer 2013 tournament this weekend, and I'll see if I can get quarters, semis and finals. I might be able to do it all in one weekend. It's a Friday actually, and I've got Friday off, don't have to go to work. Thank God for RDOs. So yeah, I reckon it's a decent chance, and then all next week you should be able to watch it, and it will be awesome. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching this, guys, and I will catch you guys later.